Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff, looking at the vast ocean below. You want to jump, to feel the thrill of connection, but something inside holds you back. That hesitation, that fear of falling, is what it feels like to live with an avoidant attachment style. You crave love, closeness, and intimacy, yet the very idea of opening your heart feels dangerous. Today, we're diving into the hidden world of avoidant attachment, the invisible walls people build, the push and pull between longing and fear, and how we can finally learn to connect without losing ourselves. Relationships are central to life. They shape who we are, give purpose, and teach some of our most important lessons. But for people with an avoidant attachment style, relationships can feel like walking a tightrope where closeness feels risky, yet being alone feels suffocating. First, it's important to understand that avoidant individuals aren't cold or heartless. They are survivors. They've learned to link vulnerability with danger, so they build walls instead of bridges. They have mastered self-reliance because at some point relying on others felt too unsafe. But here is the paradox. Avoidants crave connection just like everyone else. Even those who seem emotionally distant want love and to be loved. The human brain thrives on connection, on relationships that nurture and support growth. The challenge is that avoidants often undermine the very intimacy they desire. When we bring no contact into the picture, things become more complex. On the surface, no contact seems ideal. It provides space, stops conflicts, and protects boundaries. But for an avoidant, it can feel like proof of their deepest fear, that relationships are unsafe, that people will always leave, and that being alone is safer. Even worse, no contact strengthens their escape pattern. Instead of facing the fear of vulnerability, they retreat further into themselves, telling themselves they don't need anyone. Yet self-sufficiency without connection isn't true strength, and survival alone isn't the same as living. Avoidance may shield them temporarily, but it's a lonely journey. Emotional growth, healing, and fulfillment require something more, something many fear: vulnerability. You might wonder how to break this cycle. The answer is to create a safe space where avoidants feel they won't be judged or abandoned when they open up. It's about patience, consistency, and trust, qualities that can gradually dismantle the walls they have built. But avoidants themselves must take responsibility too. Healing starts when they stop seeing vulnerability as weakness and start recognizing it as the ultimate act of courage. Vulnerability is the bridge connecting us to the people who matter most. So, if you are avoidant or love someone who is, remember this: no contact may feel helpful short-term, but long-term it can destroy the most important thing: connection. The challenge isn't to avoid discomfort, but to lean into it, to face the fear of intimacy and discover the richness waiting on the other side. Life is about connection, and the strongest people aren't those who avoid, but those who dare to love, trust, and let others in. Avoidant attachment is complex and rooted in the way we learn to relate to others during early childhood. It functions as a defense mechanism, protecting people from emotional pain. To understand why this style develops and how it affects relationships, we need to look at its origins and the behaviors it fosters. Childhood experiences shape attachment patterns through interactions with caregivers. For those with avoidant attachment, early experiences often include inconsistent emotional support or even rejection. When a caregiver is emotionally unavailable or dismissive, the child learns to suppress feelings and internalizes the belief that showing vulnerability won't lead to comfort or support. Over time, this self-protection becomes the default mode. Avoidant individuals tend to be emotionally self-sufficient. They value independence because depending on others feels unsafe. Deep down, They fear disappointment or rejection, so they build walls that often prevent real connection. This protective behavior shows up as aloofness, emotional distance, or avoidance of deep conversations. They might push people away when relationships feel too close, but this doesn't mean they don't want intimacy. Many avoidants long for connection. Their fear of vulnerability often outweighs their desire for closeness. Internally, they are caught in a push-pull dynamic. They want love and acceptance, but fear the pain that comes with openness. They crave intimacy, but resist trust and closeness, creating an emotional paradox. Avoidants may not even realize their patterns. They might see themselves as independent rather than fearful, making it hard to break free from avoidance, especially if they don't recognize the negative effects on their relationships or emotional well-being. Despite appearing detached, avoidants feel emotions just like anyone else. They experience love, joy, pain, and heartbreak, but have learned to suppress these feelings to protect themselves from overwhelm. This can make them seem cold, though it's really a survival strategy. Beneath the surface, they grapple with intense emotions they may not know how to express. Avoidant attachment is not permanent. It's learned behavior, and like any habit, it can be unlearned. Doing so requires awareness, effort, and courage to face fears that drive avoidance. It also requires a supportive environment where they can explore emotions safely, without judgment. Healing begins when avoidants recognize that their protective strategies, while helpful in the past, now limit their ability to form meaningful relationships. They need to see vulnerability not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth and intimacy. Emotional withdrawal doesn't heal. Disconnecting may feel protective, but it often blocks the very thing they want: genuine connection. Humans are inherently social beings, wired to connect from birth. Relationships are essential not only for emotional well-being, but also for psychological and physical health. Bonds with others provide love, support, comfort, and a sense of belonging. For avoidants, this need for connection is conflicted. They desire intimacy but fear it, seeing emotional closeness as risky. Openness exposes them to rejection or hurt, leading them to push others away even while craving deep emotional bonds. The disconnect they create seems protective, but ironically keeps them from what they truly want. Understanding avoidant attachment is about recognizing their humanity, seeing beyond the walls they build, and acknowledging the fears and wounds that form those walls. Approaching avoidance with patience and compassion allows them to slowly open up and experience the connection they desire. The journey is challenging but deeply rewarding. Avoidance is not about the absence of feelings. It's a strategy born of past pain. Connection, trust, and vulnerability are the keys to moving beyond avoidance toward richer, more fulfilling relationships. In a world where showing emotions can feel risky, avoidant individuals have learned to protect themselves by holding back or keeping their feelings under control. Over time, this emotional shield becomes natural, almost automatic. But the problem is that while relying on themselves may help avoidants cope for the short term, it does not lead to lasting healing or true satisfaction. No one is meant to go through life entirely alone. Humans are social beings, designed to connect with others to survive and grow. Through relationships, we learn more about ourselves, broaden our perspective, and heal old wounds. What many avoidants fail to realize is that keeping an emotional distance actually slows down their own healing. By avoiding vulnerability, they may be avoiding the emotional growth they desperately need. Healing from past trauma, heartbreak, or fear requires facing feelings, not hiding from them. Retreating may feel safe momentarily, but real emotional recovery happens when we engage with others and allow ourselves to be seen and supported. Connection is the bridge to healing. Avoidance may struggle to open up, but relationships are where they encounter the chance to confront fears and make meaningful change. Ironically, allowing others in can break the cycle of emotional avoidance. Friendships, family ties, and romantic relationships create a space where fears can be explored, feelings expressed, and vulnerability safely practiced. The key to growth for avoidance is not to run from relationships, but to learn how to engage in a healthy, balanced way. Patience is essential. Healing takes time, and avoidants must give themselves permission to be imperfect, to stumble, and to make mistakes along the journey. The process requires facing deep-seated fears, but also learning to trust again, trusting others, and most importantly, trusting themselves. Avoidants need to understand that forming bonds does not equal dependence. True connection strengthens independence instead of weakening it. Healthy relationships provide the support needed to navigate challenges while offering a foundation for personal growth. Leaning on others and being vulnerable actually strengthens a person's sense of self and emotional resilience. It is not about giving up autonomy, but about expanding the capacity for intimacy without losing independence. Ultimately, for avoidants, growth comes from realizing that closeness is not a threat. Emotional connection is the very tool that helps them escape the isolation that keeps them trapped. By embracing connection, even when it feels uncomfortable or risky, they can begin to heal old wounds, rebuild trust, and cultivate more meaningful relationships. By doing so, they move beyond fear and experience connection in its most fulfilling form. The concept of no contact is often presented as a solution to emotional pain. The idea is straightforward. Stop communicating with the other person to create space, cool down, and gain emotional distance. It is frequently used to protect oneself when feelings of hurt, rejection, or confusion feel overwhelming. For many, no contact provides a sense of control and a way to establish boundaries. But for avoidance, the effects of no contact can be much more harmful than expected. On the surface, it seems ideal for someone with an avoidant attachment style. They are naturally emotionally self-reliant and tend to keep people at a distance. Stepping away from the relationship seems like a perfect way to avoid discomfort and maintain independence. However, this withdrawal does not resolve underlying issues. Instead, it strengthens avoidant fears and deepens isolation. For avoidants, no contact can reinforce their ingrained fear of rejection and abandonment. These individuals already struggle to trust others, and cutting off communication can feel like proof that their fears are real. People will leave, closeness will bring pain, and their emotional needs may never be met. The longer they stay away, the stronger these beliefs grow. A strategy meant to protect becomes a reminder that they are better off alone, encouraging further emotional shutdown. While isolation may bring temporary relief, it ultimately harms. By trying to avoid pain, avoidants end up generating more. Emotional withdrawal prevents them from processing feelings, addressing relationship challenges, or learning to cope with fears in healthier ways. Instead of healing, the void grows, disconnecting them from people who could support their growth. One of the most dangerous aspects of no contact is its prevention of emotional growth. Avoiding relationships means avoiding confrontations, not only with others but with oneself. Avoidants often need others' support to face their fears and process hidden emotions. Isolation denies them the chance to practice vulnerability, which is crucial for emotional recovery. Healthy relationships require honest communication, even when uncomfortable. Without interaction, avoidants miss opportunities to rebuild trust, resolve misunderstandings, and strengthen relationships. No contact can also leave a lingering sense of unresolved tension. Avoidants may dwell on past mistakes, deepening anxiety and fear without the possibility of resolution. Their minds can spiral into worst-case scenarios, fixating on perceived relationship flaws, leaving them stuck in emotional turmoil with no way forward. The fear of rejection and abandonment is not only about others, but also about themselves. Avoidants may believe that letting their guard down means losing control of their emotions, a terrifying thought. No contact reinforces this fear, promoting emotional stagnation. The truth is that emotional growth demands discomfort. No one can evolve without facing fears and risking emotional hurt. Avoidants must learn to engage with connection in a healthy way. True healing comes from navigating discomfort, being vulnerable safely, and trusting that not all relationships will cause harm. Temporary relief through avoidance delays the deep work necessary for growth. Leaning into challenges, interacting with others, and remaining open to connection allows avoidance to escape the cycle of isolation and form relationships that facilitate healing. Emotional avoidance develops as a coping mechanism to protect against vulnerability. Avoidants often suppress or ignore strong emotions, thinking it shields them from overwhelm. Short-term relief is real, but long-term consequences are harmful. Avoiding feelings blocks personal development and prevents emotional depth. This self-imposed distance can appear as numbness, detachment, or even coldness. Avoidance may prioritize logic, independence, or practicality over closeness, believing this will maintain control and prevent emotional overload. Yet emotional avoidance is emotional stagnation. Avoiding feelings may help short-term, but it hinders processing and healing from past pain. Real recovery requires facing all emotions, both painful and joyful. Avoiding feelings blocks lessons, personal growth, and integration of experiences. Avoidants often carry unresolved pain unknowingly. This stagnation affects relationships. Avoidants struggle to form deep connections, not from lack of desire, but fear of emotional cost. They may retreat when relationships become intense or when someone gets too close, creating superficial interactions that leave both parties unfulfilled. Avoiding emotional depth leads to isolation, even when surrounded by others. Emotional avoidance can also prevent development of a true sense of self. Feelings guide understanding of desires, boundaries, and values. Avoiding emotions disconnects actions from genuine self-awareness. Decisions rely on external sources, societal norms, or others' opinions, causing confusion or dissatisfaction. Relationships suffer too. Trust and intimacy need vulnerability, and without it, relationships stay shallow, leaving avoidance disconnected. Misunderstandings, frustration, and feelings of abandonment reinforce beliefs that emotional closeness is unsafe. Real emotional growth requires breaking through avoidance walls. It does not mean ignoring pain, but acknowledging it and letting it pass. Growth means embracing vulnerability, tolerating discomfort, uncertainty, and fear. Engaging with emotions builds resilience and imparts valuable lessons. For avoidance, growth reframes vulnerability as opportunity for connection and transformation. Emotional engagement leads to self-awareness and understanding of others. Facing emotional discomfort allows avoidance to escape the avoidance cycle, fostering deeper bonds, greater self-awareness, and a more fulfilling life. Breaking avoidance is challenging. It requires commitment to change, confronting deep fears, and proactive healing. Avoidants must adjust their relationship approach and unlearn protective habits developed over years. Emotional withdrawal and self-reliance were once protective, but now block meaningful connections. The first step is self-awareness. Many avoidants are unaware of their patterns, seeing distance as normal protection. Yet these walls limit deep connections and happiness. Self-awareness helps them recognize the impact of emotional walls. Next, avoidants must examine the fears driving avoidance. Often fear of vulnerability, rejection, or abandonment. They worry that if they open up, they might be rejected, criticized, or hurt. These fears come from past experiences, maybe from childhood or earlier relationships where their emotional needs were not met or where they felt abandoned or dismissed. Understanding where these fears come from is very important because it helps them see that the present moment is not necessarily the same as the past. The fears they carry might no longer be relevant, yet they continue to influence their behavior. By recognizing these fears and questioning their accuracy, avoidance can start loosening the hold that past wounds have over their present lives. At the heart of breaking the avoidance cycle is learning to deal with emotions in a healthier way. Avoidants have often been taught to ignore or push down their feelings, but avoiding emotions stops growth and prevents meaningful connections. To break this cycle, they need to face discomfort rather than running from it. This means allowing themselves to feel vulnerable, even when it is uncomfortable, and learning to process both positive and negative emotions instead of shutting them out. Emotional involvement is essential to creating healthy, lasting relationships. It requires a change in perspective from seeing emotions as threats to viewing them as chances for growth and better understanding. Along with engaging with emotions, avoidants need to take active steps to rebuild trust in others. Trust is often a major challenge for avoidants due to their fear of being hurt. Rebuilding trust is about small, consistent actions that show reliability and emotional openness. It also includes setting boundaries and communicating needs in healthy ways. For avoidants, this might mean being more open and vulnerable even when it feels risky. It's about finding a balance between being independent and being emotionally present, a balance that allows for healthy closeness without losing a sense of self. One of the most important parts of breaking avoidance is creating a safe environment for vulnerability. For avoidance, this safe space comes from relationships with people who are patient, understanding, and non-judgmental. They need others who can provide emotional support without overwhelming them. This kind of environment encourages them to open up and be more authentic, knowing they won't be rejected or criticized. Creating a safe space also involves communicating clearly about boundaries and needs. It's about honesty with others while also being gentle with oneself. Avoidants must also be patient with themselves. Breaking the avoidance cycle is not instant. It is a slow process with ups and downs. It is important for them to see emotional growth as a journey rather than a destination. Change doesn't happen overnight, but with persistent effort, they can heal old wounds and transform their approach to relationships. This process requires self-compassion and a willingness to forgive oneself for past mistakes. Healing rarely happens in a straight line. It involves moving forward, facing setbacks, and then taking steps forward again. In the end, breaking avoidance is about creating a new story for oneself. It's about realizing that vulnerability is a sign of strength, not weakness. It's about learning to trust, connect emotionally, and build deeper, more fulfilling relationships. With time, effort, and support, avoidance can break free from isolation and fear, embracing emotional intimacy and connection. This path leads to true healing, growth, and a richer, more satisfying life. Breaking free from avoidance is more than just changing behaviors or making temporary adjustments in relationships. It is a transformative process that requires a shift in mindset, rooted in the understanding that connection and vulnerability are essential for emotional well-being. Avoidance often resists this truth without realizing it, seeing vulnerability as something dangerous. Yet, through vulnerability, they gain access to deeper emotional connection and personal healing. To truly shift, avoidants must rethink their beliefs about themselves and others. They often feel that their needs are a burden, that depending on others is weakness, or that being vulnerable will lead to rejection. These beliefs come from past experiences, especially early life events where emotional needs were ignored or closeness caused pain. The goal is not just to notice these beliefs, but to question them and evaluate their relevance today. Avoidants need to see that vulnerability is not a flaw, but a strength, a way to form genuine relationships and heal emotionally. Central to this change is understanding that relationships do not threaten independence but support growth. Many avoidants fear emotional closeness will make them lose control or autonomy. In truth, true interdependence, where individuals maintain their sense of self while connecting with others, leads to emotional strength. Relying on others doesn't reduce independence, it increases resilience and capacity for personal growth. Avoidants must see emotional reliance not as weakness, but as part of the human experience. Connection allows them to learn, grow, and heal in ways isolation cannot. This shift also includes embracing discomfort. Avoidants tend to avoid emotional discomfort, seeing it as dangerous. They believe vulnerability will overwhelm them or cause harm. However, discomfort is necessary for growth. To escape avoidance, they must embrace discomfort rather than avoid it. Facing fears like rejection, intimacy anxiety, or uncertainty in vulnerability allows them to stretch beyond emotional limits and experience transformation. Instead of seeing discomfort as a threat, they need to see it as a chance to grow, heal, and develop resilience. Another key part of this mindset shift is realizing that past emotional wounds do not have to dictate the future. Avoidants often carry scars from old relationships or childhood experiences that create fear of being hurt again. While these wounds shape avoidance patterns, they don't have to control current emotions. Healing is possible. It's okay to release past stories and beliefs tied to old pain. The wounds may not vanish instantly, but with effort, support, and time, avoidants can change their relationship with the past and see themselves as capable of healthier emotional experiences. They can move out of the shadow of old hurts and embrace the chance to build a hopeful, connected, and emotionally growing life. Avoidants must also allow themselves to be imperfect. Many feel they must always control emotions, actions, and relationships. This often comes from early experiences where vulnerability was unsafe or met with rejection. Over time, this leads to extreme self-reliance and control over feelings. Healing requires letting go of perfection, showing self-compassion, and accepting flaws, mistakes, and emotional missteps. Vulnerability and openness are not weaknesses. They are human traits. Embracing imperfection allows true emotional connection and growth. As avoidants adjust their mindset, they create conditions for real emotional healing and healthier relationships. It is gradual but deeply rewarding. By reframing vulnerability, accepting discomfort, releasing old pain, and embracing imperfection, avoidants develop new ways of engaging emotionally. They transform relationships and experience deeper connection with themselves. This mindset change leads to greater emotional freedom, deeper intimacy, and the ability to fully experience human connection without fear. The journey of healing and growth for avoidance is not simple or quick. It requires self-awareness, emotional openness, and courage to face long-standing fears. Avoiding contact may feel like a solution, but it can worsen isolation and reinforce fears. To truly break free, avoidants must shift their mindset, challenge beliefs about vulnerability, and see discomfort as a necessary part of growth. They are not broken or incapable of love. They just need to escape patterns of emotional withdrawal that once protected them, but now hold them back. By reframing vulnerability as a strength, leaning into emotional discomfort, and learning to engage with others in balanced ways, avoidants can heal and build the connections they long for. This transformation takes patience, perseverance, and self-compassion. With each step, avoidants can break down walls around their hearts and open to real intimacy. It is through vulnerability, facing discomfort, and connecting with others that they achieve emotional freedom and growth. In the end, emotional healing is about trusting oneself, trusting others, and seeing vulnerability as a bridge to deeper connection. Taking the first step toward healing allows avoidants to experience the richness of connection, emotional fulfillment, and a life no longer ruled by fear. The journey may be long, but the rewards are enormous. Stronger relationships, deeper self-awareness, and the ability to live fully in the present, free from the constraints of the past.